From betting weekly, because we win. That is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best, and we're successful. Come watch our show. Red River sponsors, it's time to start. Enjoy the show. Yeah, give me your picks, give me your insights. I want the bets from Betting Weekly, because we win. That is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win.
Welcome aboard, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live this Monday, the 7th of October. You're with Steve Wyss and our senior ATP handicapper, Sean Calvert, is on Betting Weekly Live. How's it going, Sean?
Good afternoon, mate. You all right?
I am doing well.
I love that theme tune, by the way. That was good. I like that. A bit of country. Was not expecting that. It kind of took me a bit by surprise. Watching a bit of
on your toes.
I'm watching a bit of Kaboli against Stan Wawrinka because they're still playing in Shanghai, and I got a bit of country twang. Quite enjoyed that. It was good. In answer to your question, I'm all right. I'm fine.
I'm sure you're very well. You've been winning. You had a great day on the tennis. 3 excellent winners advised. Rune, that Wawrinka game, first set was a winner. And you had Giron as well, didn't you? Nearly, I think it was nearly 2-1.
Yeah, it was about 2
earlier. So
2.60, yeah, plus 163, I think it was in the end. But yeah, that was one I feel like I got a little bit lucky on the Giron one in the sense that it was moved indoors, because anyone that's not been watching this tournament, it's just been hammering it down in Shanghai for the last 48 hours. So they're so far behind. They moved some of the matches indoors to a non-televised, apparently very small little court, which I think favoured Giron. So maybe a little bit fortunate on that. But yeah, it's been a good run for the last, not just this week, but last week as well in Tokyo. I always tend to do well in the Asian swing. I think you get a bit more edge, with the players being tired. You can kind of see how much they've been playing, and it just gives you a bit of extra opportunity, I always feel.
The whole team here on that Because We Win has been on fire recently. James Eastham in the soccer has been unbelievable. Jack Wright had a 10-1 winner advice at the weekend. There's been winners everywhere. Been winners absolutely everywhere. Welcome in to all. I hope you had a great weekend. Circa, welcome in Duncan Evans. Rick, good to see you. Winston Churchill, always great to see you. Mandeep Singh, welcome in as well. And yeah, if you got any questions for Sean, ask him away. It's a great time to ask him. He's not been on the live show too often so far. Yeah. There's the first question there. Brian C. Why do you hate WTA? That's a bit of a controversial one.
I think hate is probably a bit strong. I don't like it. No, the reason I don't like it is because the results are so random. I mean, in the men's game, there's a much more of a chance of you getting success with data. Sometimes it's gut feel as well with the Asian swing. It's some of it more gut feel involved. But I've done WTA before. I did it for a year, and it's just totally random. You get 2 players, exactly the same players, play each other 1 week. One of them wins 6-1, 6-2. Play it 7 days later in almost the same conditions, and the other one wins easy. I could never been able to get my head around it. And if I'm being honest, I don't feel like the quality is that great either. So yeah, that there's several reasons why I don't watch it. I'm a bit of a snob, to be honest, a sporting snob. I can't watch a level of sport that I don't think is that good. My brain just kind of drifts off and I end up not watching it. So I always feel like I just feel like I have to watch the absolute highest level. And I'll be honest, the WTA, a lot of it isn't.
Yeah, it's like soccer leagues. There's certain divisions in the world I wouldn't touch either, because I find it too random, or sometimes the lower quality can be a problem as well. Kingsley asked me, am I good at playing tennis? I'm not. I've not played tennis for a long time. I play golf, as you know, I play cricket, but I've not been on the tennis court for probably 2 decades. I don't know how I'd do.
We should probably have a game or something. Is that where this is going?
Do you play? You play a bit of paddle, right?
I play paddle, yeah. I'm too old to play tennis now. It's too much running around. And paddle is almost exclusively doubles, so it's not much running, and it's more of a fun game than tennis. Tennis can be a bit serious. Paddles, it's fun, and it's not.
You're a paddle expert.
I wouldn't say I'm an expert. I'm not bad though. I'm all right. I'm pretty decent, to be fair.
You'll take that. You'll take that. Right, straight into the betting then, Sean. We've got a question already about this from Serkan. Can you ask Sean what you think about Watanuki against Fritz?
Yeah,
well, there we go. That's the first one we're going to talk about. I don't know what time these matches are going to kick off, to be honest with you, Sean. This scheduling has been all over the place.
It has, yeah.
Here with this, but I've got it down at 1:50 a.m. Eastern on Bet Rivers.
Sounds
Fritz
about right.
is minus 500 favorite here. Watanuki plus 360. We've got a games over underline 22.5. The spread is minus 3.5. Knocking on the door -4 actually for Taylor Fritz. What are you expecting out of this game? Is he a good thing at minus 500? Would you be lumping on him?
I wouldn't be betting anybody at minus 500 at this stage of the season. Players are tired. They've played an awful lot of tennis, more so this season because of the Olympics. This pair met here at this exact tournament last year, and Fritz won it 7-6, 6-7, 6-4. I'd expect it to be tough again for Taylor Fritz. As I said, he's played a lot of tennis lately. He was struggling physically in Tokyo a couple of weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago, actually. And Watanuki's keen as mustard here. He missed 6 months of the season with a knee injury. So he's looking to make up for lost time. Obviously, he's very used to playing in Asian conditions, often plays his best tennis at this time of the year. He's already played 4 matches through qualies, so he's very much attuned to the conditions. Had a couple of days off because of the rain. Well, Fritz hasn't. Fritz played today, I think. He had to pick up his match that was delayed for the rain today. Watanuki out-aced Fritz in that Shanghai meeting last year. Fritz is a big server. Watanuki hit more aces than him. Watanuki also won 10% more points on his first serve than Fritz did, but only 42% on his second ball, which shows that Fritz was the better man from the back of the court. But Watanuki's dangerous in these conditions. It's all about the serve for Watanuki. He does tend to play a lot of tiebreakers against the better players, as he did, of course, in that match against Fritz last year, 2 tiebreakers, in fact. So for me, set one, I wouldn't be interested in the money line, really. If I was on the money line, I'd perhaps take a punt on Watanuki, but the bet for me looks like set one overs, over 10.5 games in set one. That's plus 190 chance, I think, with Bet Rivers. I would certainly go with that, or tie break played if you can get plus money on that. Those are the sort of directions that I'd be looking at in this match.
I do want to remind people there's actually 2 matches which get underway tomorrow that Sean and Nigel discussed in the latest Game Bet Match podcast. I put a link there, and that involves the Ben Shelton game and also the Gael Monfils match, who is remarkable that he's still going on strong. I think age 38 or 39 now.
Yeah.
So do give that to both matches discussed in depth, which means we can focus on some other ones while we're still here now. Let's have a look at Popyrin against Dimitrov. This is a bit of a closer betting heat here. Minus 155 now, Dimitrov. So there's been a bit of money for him. Popyrin is plus 123 still. The game's line is 23.5 here, and the spread is very close at minus 1.5. Would this game interest you more betting on someone on the money line, do you think, Sean, or is it a genuine pick 'em?
I think it's a tight one, this. These two met in Montreal not long ago, just before the US Open. Dimitrov really should have won it in straight sets. He had 3 match points, and Popyrin got very lucky with a net cord on one of those match points to save himself. And he ended up not only winning that set, winning that match, but he ended up winning the tournament, Popyrin. So it was a lucky escape for him last time against Dimitrov. If you look at the head-to-head, very, very close in terms of service points won and return points won totals, 101 to 99 in favor of Dimitrov, in favor of Popyrin, sorry, which is a very slender advantage over the course of, I think, 3 matches they played against each other. One of them was a retirement, though. Dimitrov retired, but he was kind of beaten anyway. He was 7-6, 7-6, 4 love down when he retired. So maybe those stats just slightly, just a touch misleading on Popyrin, but not much. And it's basically a very, very tight career series. Popyrin wins more second serve points than Dimitrov does in the matchup, 55% compared to 48%. So you could argue that Popyrin's, again, been the better man from the back of the court over the course of their career series, but we've got to bring into these matches the thoughts about physicality. You know, Popyrin's played a lot of tennis lately. Dimitrov's been struggling with a hamstring injury, so maybe not both at their best physically. Despite them playing 4 tie breaks in 8 sets against each other, the matchup's not been that serve dominant. Some of these matchups, they're holding like 90% of the time each, and it's been very serve dominant. But this one, not really, because both players have won 35, 36% of return points. So it's not a match that I would be tempted on tie breaks, even though they have played a few, because the return points won ratio is pretty healthy. So I'm expecting a tight one here. I haven't seen the odds on this one yet from Bet Rivers in terms of the other markets, but I'm quite interested in over 2.5 sets here. That'll be plus money. I don't know the exact price on that, but I think this will be a very, very tight one. I think it'll be a really tight one.
Plus 118 on over 2.5 sets.
Yeah, I'd be tempted with that because it is tight. I mean, Popyrin was a much bigger price when they met in Montreal, much bigger. So I'd be kind of loath to take him at plus 123. Yeah, that's a bit short for me. A little bit short. I'd probably go with over 2.5 sets. It's a tight one. That could go either way.
Joshua Alexander says, love the channel. Great info. Appreciate you guys. He likes Popyrin here. His power will push him forward. Ming Chung says, well done on those winners today, Sean. Henry VIII
Thank you.
Lost a 16-1 parlay thanks to Jordan Thompson.
That was an unexpected result. That's really annoying for the person we're talking about here, because that was another match that was moved indoors. And I would imagine when he put that parlay on, he was probably thinking that it was going to be played, and as you would be thinking it was going to be played on outdoor hard. But I think perhaps the moving it indoors perhaps gave Griekspoor a bit of an edge that he wouldn't have had outdoors. So that's really unlucky.
Duncan says, has anyone ever had so much talent but won so little than Dimitrov? I mean, when he first came on the scene, he was known as Baby Federer, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's because of the style of play, the single-handed backhand. He had a very...
Has he won much in his time? He must have won a few events.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking about Grand Slams, I assume.
Yeah.
Dimitrov, yeah. What was the question? Has anyone ever had as much talent and won as little? Well, yeah. Yosuke, Monfils, probably quite a few others I could bring to mind. You know, it's tough. I mean, it's easy to say, all right, he's had a lot of talent and he hasn't won much, but he was playing against like Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, Murray, Wawrinka. He was playing in a very good generation. You could also argue that he's mentally not as strong as those guys. You know, you can have all the talent in the world, but ultimately winning at this level, at the very highest level, comes down to between the ears rather than ability. So, and he, with all due respect, he's never had that stern self-belief as the really, really top guys have, and he's been prone to sort of double faults in tight moments because his service motion is a bit. It's high ball toss. It goes a bit shaky at times. It just comes down to self-belief in the important moments, and he hasn't had as much of it as some of the other guys.
A couple of other matches here on page number 1. We've got Griekspoor against Zverev and Mensik against Shevchenko. I mean, is there any... the Shevchenko game is a more closer contest with the betting. Zverev a very, very heavy favourite here in his particular affair. So, I mean, would either of these two games interest you at all, Sean? Where should we start here?
I think Griekspoor's the more interesting one.
Griekspoor, yeah. I mean, minus 625 on Zverev for this particular match. I mean, that does feel quite... I mean, I don't... Would you...
It's short.
It's a fair price. Price though, or?
It would be if all things were equal, but they're not really. I mean, Zverev has been playing with pneumonia in the last couple of months, so he's not been well at all, and he's obviously not at his best. I mean, I've never had pneumonia. I've certainly not played on the tennis tour whilst having pneumonia, so I can't imagine it's easy. I think this could be a chance for Griekspoor. You know, he should have beaten Zverev at the French Open earlier this year. He was a double break up, 4-1 up, double break in the final set, Griekspoor, and he did choke it. Let's not mince our words here. He does this a lot, Griekspoor. Ended up losing it in a final set tiebreak. Should have won it, realised he was about to win it and got scared, as he quite often does. Although not against Jordan Thompson, apparently. But I guess that's because that was indoors. No one was watching. It didn't bother him. But his game can cause problems for Zverev. He beat Zverev on his own home turf, Griekspoor's home turf in Rotterdam last year. Again, indoor hard. And he's usually pretty strong on serve against Zverev. He should have won the opening set against Zverev at Indian Wells as well in a match I watched. That was another one when he was quite a decent advantage up in the first set, ended up smashing the heck out of at least one or two rackets, having, again, choked that away. So he's been close with Zverev before. On the stats, Griekspoor's actually won a fraction more of his first serve points in this matchup than Zverev has in their last 4 meetings. But his return game is limited, Griekspoor. On the head-to-head, Griekspoor's held serve 87% of the time on hard courts against Zverev. Zverev's held 92% of the time on hard courts against Griekspoor. So this is a very serve-dominated matchup. When the return points won show you that. Griekspoor's only won 29% of return points. It's not good enough. Zverev's only won 32.6. So you can tell it's been very much serve-dominated. As I said, Zverev's not at his best. He can't be, given these physical conditions. So I quite like the plus 300 here about Griekspoor winning the opening set. That's the price I saw earlier. I don't know whether that's still the case, but I feel like on a risk-reward basis, Griekspoor's got a puncher's chance of at least starting strongly. I'm not sure whether he'll win the match. He may do. Zverev's still struggling a bit physically, but I feel like set one's probably his best chance.
Plus 280 to win set number one. The latest prices with Bet Rivers there on Griekspoor.
Yeah,
and
probably go with that.
Yeah, it might get to a good start here in this particular match. Just before we move on to some of the fixtures, I mean, this general event here, ATP Shanghai in Asia.
Yeah,
I mean, what have you made of the conditions here so far? I mean, we know the weather was a problem. Does it take a certain type of player to do well, do you think, in the Asian swing? Because it's different to sort of being in America or Europe, isn't it?
Yeah, every tournament's different though. I mean, the Shanghai one that we're talking about currently, they're playing with these Wilson all-court balls. I mean, you probably don't know, Steve, because this is a very tennis-centric thing, but they play with different balls seemingly every week. There's not a standardized ball for tennis. They're all different brands, different types of different sub-brands. These are Wilson all-courts, which I don't think they use these in any other tournament. And Daniel Medvedev, rent a quote, Daniel Medvedev, he's great for this sort of stuff. He's complaining that the balls aren't good enough for professional tennis. What he's saying is that these balls, after they've been new, once they've played with them for a couple of games, they will get all fluffy and slow. The tournament itself is usually quite quick. Shanghai used to be one of the quickest tournaments, if not one of the quickest, if not the quickest hardcourt tournament of the year, pre-COVID. But since it's been back on the tour, they're using these Wilson balls, which are very slow. So slower conditions makes it difficult for a lot of players. The balls are a big problem. That's the bottom line in this tournament. It's quick. You can still get reward, but the balls fluff up and make it slow. So you got to be aware of what balls they're playing with and the exact conditions.
Well, I don't play tennis, but I do play cricket, and this is a thing in cricket where there's not a standardized ball in even within certain leagues that I play in, and right. You'd be amazed the difference it can make. I mean, obviously,
it's huge in tennis,
sport, but it's crazy. Yeah, don't overlook the balls.
It's very important in tennis, but the problem with tennis is they don't tell you. You kind of have to guess based on what they did the previous year, and kind of go on their website and try and find out.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, they don't like giving out information that could potentially be used for betting purposes, I suppose. It's all very secretive. Oh yeah, we're playing on a hard court this year. And a hard court is also not a hard court. There's tons of different types of hard courts. Some are quick, some are slow, some are low bouncing, high bouncing. So yeah, yes, I always feel like if you've got a handle on the conditions early in a tournament, you can get on a roll. Like I've been fortunate enough to this Shanghai.
Just looking back at some of the comments, Florence Nightingale says I shouldn't be playing tennis on my injured ankle. No, I've just been on the golf course, Florence. But thanks for your comments on the show the weekend. I know, what a great community! Like seriously, I've been getting advice on my injured ankle from Florence Nightingale. Serkan,
who better to get advice from? You might say.
I know. So Serkan says the king is back. A big fan of yours here. Serkan come over, a big fan of yours. Oh,
thank you,
Sean. Duncan Evans there is another talent who never wins as much as he should. They're loving that tip you had in the Wawrinka match earlier, Sean. That was a really popular winner for you there. And let's move on to some other matches then. I say the Monfils-Humbert game. Do check out the Game Bet Match podcast with Sean and Nigel. There's more info there. Tsitsipas against Muller. This is an interesting affair. And just trying to find out the actual, 12:30 a.m. Eastern. This is listed as for now.
This is first on, I think. this is the first match of the day on the main court, the centre court.
Stay up late stateside, and this will be on your screens. Minus 385 for Tsitsipas and plus 295 Muller. And the spread is plus 3.5 on Muller. That's at plus 107. Tsitsipas minus 385. I mean, there's often quite a few short price favourites in tennis. I sense that's not the direction you like to go in general, though, Sean. So, I mean, would the underdog interest you here, or is it one of those where Tsitsipas deserves? Yeah, you quite like Muller here.
It's more that I don't like Tsitsipas in these sort of conditions. Although Muller, I'll talk about this in a second. I mean, it just looks like another bad price on Tsitsipas. He's done nothing on this surface to sort of justify these prices, really. He's more of he's kind of developed into a clay-only man in the last sort of year or two. If we look at his stats, 2024 main level on outdoor hard, Tsitsipas 55% win rate and the service points won and return points won, total of 101. It's all right. It's not great. It's not befitting of certainly not befitting of a top 10 player. Barely befitting of top 20, I would say. Muller, very similar stats, 47% win rate, so not winning quite as many, but his total is service points and return points won total is the same on 101. So you could argue that they're playing a pretty similar level on outdoor hard. As I've said, Tsitsipas seems to be only at his best on clay these days, and maybe a sort of slow, bouncy hard court, which this isn't. Tsitsipas is only 8-8 win-loss versus top 100 ranked opponents on outdoor hard this season, losing 4 of his last 5. So he's not exactly one to trust on this surface at odds like this. What is he, minus 385, you said? That's pretty short, that. And if you look at the other side...
Yeah, minus 385 on Tsitsipas at the time of going live.
Yeah, but bearing in mind the stats, it's too short. Muller's actually won 3 of his last 5 matches against top 25 ranked opponents. He beat Felix in the first round here, Felix Auger-Aliassime. So you should have nothing to fear, really, from Tsitsipas in these conditions. Tsitsipas's problem is he doesn't break serve enough. Everyone kind of knows how to deal with Tsitsipas on a quicker court. Just pepper the backhand, and sooner or later it will break down. And that's what basically everybody does against Tsitsipas these days. And consequently, Tsitsipas he doesn't break serve enough. He tends to chip the backhand return in. It leads to him not breaking serve enough. So Muller plus 3.5 games looks an option at plus 107, or to win a set. Around about even money, I think that's probably where I'd go here. I also wouldn't put anyone off having a little bit of pizza money on Muller if you want to be a bit braver. It just looks another bad one on Tsitsipas.
Yeah, I was going to say that is he the sort of fella that you're better off backing the handicap, or is he quite profitable on a big money line? You could also look at over 10.5 games won by Alexandre Muller, minus 107.
I've done this before. I do quite like that market in general, but the problem with that is if Muller wins, 6-3, 6-4, you've won the match and you've done your money. Because did he say over or under? Over 10.5.
Over 10.5 games won by Muller.
Over 10.5 would be okay.
Just on him individually.
Yeah, I've done it the other way around before, where I've had 11.5, and the guy's won in straight sets, and he's won 12 and won the match, but lost the handicap. But yes, short answer is yes. I got the line mixed up there, but yeah, I mean, as I said, Muller's won 3 of his last 5 matches against top 25 ranked opponents. So, I don't think he's got anything. I don't think he's got anything to fear here against Tsitsipas in these conditions.
So one more match we're going to look at here in a bit of detail. That is Francis Tiafoe against Roman Safiullin, and this is a close betting heat. Plus 123 now on Safiullin, minus 152 for Tiafoe. He's been a drifter. The spread on the games is minus 2.5, 23.5 game line. So the books, the Bet Rivers here, are expecting a close game. Tiafoe is a bit of a negative at the moment. I mean, is he a justifiable favourite here? Would you go near him, or is it a dog that you like again?
I think he opened too short. When I looked at this match earlier, he was shorter than that Tiafoe, and I was a little bit confused why he was so short. It's tough to gauge the form of this pair based on their opening matches, because Safiullin was one of the ones that played on that indoor court, which wasn't televised, against Bublik, who may well have not been, let's just say, may not well have been trying that hard. Let's leave it there. And Tiafoe had a very comfortable win against Zhu, who's a bit underpowered and a little bit inexperienced for this level at the moment. Although I think he's a decent player, but at the minute he's not really quite up to playing someone like Tiafoe. They both played an awful lot of tennis. Tiafoe's played 23 matches in 2.5 months. Safiullin's played 21. So they both played an awful lot of tennis. But if you look at their stats this season on this surface, service points won and return points won totals, Tiafoe's only on 102 and Safiullin's on 103. So slight edge to Safiullin. If you isolate the last 3 months when Tiafoe's been playing by far his best tennis of the season, he still isn't ahead on the stats. They're both on 104 in terms of their service points won and return points won. Safiullin's not been winning the amount of matches that his statistics say he should be. Some of that is down to the way that he plays. If you've ever seen Safiullin play, it's very hit and miss. It's all or nothing. When it's going in, it looks brilliant. You think, well, this guy's, he can go a long way in the game. And when it's he doesn't really reel it in when he's missing. He goes for frustratingly small targets sometimes when he doesn't need to. Leads to a lot of unforced errors. So he is very up and down, very hit and miss. But statistically, if you were betting on the money line, you'd take Safiullin here.
That's interesting. So of those matches we've talked about, what do you think might be sort of your best bet of the day, or of tomorrow, if you want to call it that? Of those 5-6 that we talked about, what would be your best fancy?
I think the set one overs is pretty strong. Watanuki against Fritz, I think that's quite likely to come in. I would think it'll certainly go close. Then I think I would probably take Muller, either probably to win a set or on the handicap. And if you're feeling in a kind of a brave mood, then Safiullin and Griekspoor would be two that you would take if you're really feeling up for a sort of bigger priced option.
Brilliant stuff. There's not that much action on in terms of soccer today. We're leading up towards the next international break. We've got plenty of content Thursday and Friday on that. There is one match in English League 2 today, which I've got on the graphics there. Bradford City against Newport County, and Bradford City are -225 on the money line. The over-under goal line quite favoured here for goals today. And if I was going to take a bet on this game, it would be on the over 3 Asian goal market. 7 of the 9 Bradford games this season have contained over 2.5 goals. They beat Newport 4-1 twice last season. There's an interesting player to keep an eye out for here, everyone. A guy called Kyle Hudlin, who's on loan from Huddersfield. And he is the tallest professional footballer in the United Kingdom at 6'9". Big Kyle. He plays up front. He's one of the tallest.
He plays for Bradford.
No, he's a Newport player.
You think
he's
he
on
would have
loan
gone from Huddersfield to Bradford, wouldn't you? Since it's kind of round the corner.
Yeah, you would actually. Yeah, I probably wouldn't get in the Bradford team, but big Kyle Hudlin. He's not actually offered on any player props yet with Bet Rivers.
6'9".
I mean, how do you defend someone that tall? 6'9".
Do you remember Kevin Francis when he played for Birmingham City up front years ago? He was getting on for that tall, wasn't he? He was really tall.
Apparently, Peter Crouch was 6'7". For those who are familiar with Peter Crouch, but this guy's even taller than Crouchy. So, I mean, it's an interesting player.
Is he tall and quite well built, or is he quite skinny like Crouch and Kevin Francis? They were both quite thin, weren't they?
I think he's more on the thin side. Okay. I would say.
So he's the next Peter Crouch potentially.
Possibly. I mean, he did score last week, and he got in the Player of the Week for League 2. So. He's obviously in some form, isn't he? But I think over 3 goals is what I would look at for the Bradford game there, and keep an eye out for big Kyle Hudlin. We've got MLB postseason. We've got the Tigers, the Guardians. We've got the Royals at the Yankees. Biggest money today is on 75% of the money and 67% of the tickets are on the Yankees for the MLB. We've also got Monday Night Football in the NFL. We've got the Saints at the Chiefs. I can tell you now 68% of the tickets are on the Chiefs and 65% of the tickets, though, on the spread. The plus 5.5 spread is on the Saints. So the Saints are quite a popular dog on the spread, but on the money line, the money is with the Chief. What are you all betting on today, guys? Put it in the comments there. Whatever sport worldwide. I'm sure someone's betting on some obscure soccer league around the world. What are your picks for the MLB? What about the NFL tonight? I know there's a lot of injuries for both the Saints and the Chiefs, which makes it quite a difficult matchup. Notable weekend winners: the $109,000 was on the Georgia Auburn over 51 points in the college football there, and that was a loser, unfortunately. $64,000 loser also on the Bears Panthers under 42.5. So yeah, that over there is done for a particular Bet Rivers. The biggest winner that I can was informed from the traders from the NFL was Seahawks Giants over 41.5. That was a $54,000 winner. So congrats to that particular bettor. I'm just going through the comments now. Eric Hayes says Olave over 59.5 receiving yards is an interesting one. Shakespeare's there with his plays. I fancy this San Diego Padres very much. I have several future bets on them. Joshua says he's still doing some homeworks, but he's leaning the Saints on the plus and the under. Anthony Hopkins. He took Sean and Nigel's advice and bet Holger Rune to win. Easy money. Yeah, I was just saying at the top of the show, Sean was in fantastic form. Duncan Evans is going to be betting on the darts. But yeah, congrats on a brilliant day.
It was a kind of tight one in the third set. But I mean, he did deserve to win. Easy money for me would be like 6-1, 6-2 in about 45 minutes. That would be easy money. But
that's your sort of winner.
That's my sort of winner, yeah. But that was a good one. We were on a good run, so it's
very good run. Very good run indeed. And tomorrow, tennis theme continues. I've got Rory Giovanni on the show, so we're going to be talking WTA there, and Nigel Seeley, the boss, is on Wednesday continuing. And that's going to be a very tennis-heavy theme as well. The soccer doesn't really come back properly until Thursday. James Easton is with Dan Roebuck on that particular day. But Sean, brilliant to have you. Really enjoyed it again.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, very good stuff. And good luck with all those plays. We've got plenty of matches that we just discussed. Do check out the Game Bet Match podcast or video, whatever format you're going to watch it on. Like I said, there's more analysis on two games we didn't talk here. Thanks for everyone who came in. Good luck whatever you're betting today, whatever sport worldwide. And I'll see you tomorrow with Rory Giovanni. Same time, 11 a.m. Eastern. Remember to gamble responsibly and take care, everyone. Goodbye.